Today we're going to be talking about the Oregon District, which is most likely the oldest neighborhood in the Miami Valley and most definitely in Dayton. So I do have a little cheat sheet with me. I wasn't going to remember all of this information, but the Oregon District right here in Dayton is one of the Miami Valley's most storied neighborhoods with a history that stretches back to the city's founding and reflects the region's evolution from a frontier outpost to an industrial hub to a modern cultural gem. Here's a rundown of everything that makes up the Oregon District. The early beginnings. The Oregon District's roots lie in Dayton's establishment on April 1st, 1796, when a group of settlers, about a dozen families led by surveyor Israel Ludlow, arrived at the confluence of the Great Miami and Mad Rivers. They were a part of a larger wave of pioneers moving into the Northwest Territory after the 1795 Treaty of Greenville opened the area by securing peace with local Native American tribes. The area that would become the Oregon District was part of the original plat just east of downtown along the Miami River's floodplain. Early settlement was slow. Floods, disease, and the wilderness made life tough. By 1805, Dayton only had about 100 residents, and the Oregon area was mostly farmland and scattered cabins. The name Oregon doesn't appear until later, and its origin is murky. Some tie it to the Oregon Territory, unlikely given the timelines, others to a poetic nod to the Oregonum, Latin for boundary or shore of the river, though no definitive record exists. The 1820s marked a turning point. The Miami and Erie Canal, completed to Dayton in 1829, transformed the city into a trading hub, linking it to Cincinnati and the Ohio River. The Oregon District, sitting on higher ground near the canal's path, became prime real estate. By the 1830s, it was a distinct residential enclave for Dayton's growing middle and upper class. The neighborhood's name, Oregon, first appears in records around this time, possibly coined by a local landowner or tied to a now-lost anecdote. It wasn't a formal district yet, just a cluster of homes and small businesses. The 1833 Dayton flood, one of many, spared much of the Oregon District due to its elevation, cementing its appeal. By the 1850s, German and Irish immigrants added to the mix, opening breweries, shops, and taverns along 5th Street, laying the groundwork for its later commercial vibe. Industrial boom and heyday of the 1870s to the 1900s. The post-Civil War industrial boom supercharged Dayton and Oregon. The city became a manufacturing powerhouse with companies like NCR, National Cash Register, and the Barney and Smith Car Works driving growth. The Oregon District shifted from purely residential to mixed-use area. East 5th Street emerged as a bustling commercial strip with saloons, theaters, and stores catering to workers and families. The 20th century brought challenges. The Great Flood of 1913 devastated Dayton, though the Oregon again escaped the worst due to its elevation. Still, the city's industrial base began shifting. After World War II, suburban flight hit hard. White-collar families moved to places like Oakwood, leaving Oregon's big homes to be chopped into boarding houses or abandoned. By the 1950s, the neighborhood was aging, and 5th Street's once thriving businesses turned seedy. Bars, flop houses, and pawn shops dominated. Redlining and disinvestment didn't help. Property values tanked, and the area gained a rough reputation. The Oregon District's modern chapter began in the 1970s, sparked by Dayton's bicentennial and a national push for historic preservation. In 1974, it was listed on the National Register of Historic Places, recognizing its 19th century architecture. Over 100 buildings before 1900. Young professionals, artists, drawn by cheap rents and charm, started rehabbing homes. The Oregon Historic District Society formed to fight demolition, threats, and push for revitalization. By the 80s, 5th Street was reborn as a nightlife hub. Bars like the Trolley Shop and Newcomb's Tavern, named for Dayton's founder Benjamin Newcomb. Restaurants, galleries, and boutiques formed, turning Oregon into Dayton's bohemian heart. The 1990s and 2000s solidified its status as a cultural hotspot. As you stroll through the Oregon District, you're going to be able to find a variety of different architectural styles that are dependent on the time that the buildings were made. The earliest is going to feature a Federalist style. These were popular during the 1820s through the 1840s. After that, you're going to see some Greek revival. So from like the 1830s to the 1860s is when we'll see those types of homes. As we move on through the 19th century, from the 1860s to about the turn of the century, you'll see Italianate. Around that same time, you'll start seeing some Queen Anne styled homes. I've never even heard of this one. It says there's also some Second Empire. I don't know if they're talking Star Wars there, but that's pretty cool. If you're into historic charm, obviously you can tell that Oregon District is where it's at. One thing I definitely wanted to make sure that I pointed out was Tecumseh Street. So we're going to do some B-roll, I think. So I don't know if you're watching me right now or if I've already decided in the editing process that you're going to see Tecumseh Street. But that is one of the first streets that was built that still exists in what is the modern day Oregon District. Tecumseh Street, platted in 1839, is frequently highlighted as having the most complete grouping of early Dayton buildings in the entire city. These are the modest brick homes built by the middle-class merchants and artisans, reflecting the frugality of the 1830s and 40s German immigrant wave. Local historians and Oregon District's own records point to houses here as the oldest still standing in their original locations. Construction dates for specific homes are debated. Some sources suggest 1830s, others 1840s, but they predate the fancier Victorian builds on streets like Jackson or Wayne. One contender is the Thomas Clegg House, sometimes called the James Brooks House, built around 1831 and 1832, though some argue 1827 to 1827. It's among Dayton's oldest surviving homes. So the Oregon District, not only being Dayton's oldest neighborhood, it's also going to feature some of the oldest homes that are still lived in that have not been moved throughout the Miami Valley. So hopefully you enjoyed this little history lesson about Dayton's oldest neighborhood. My name's Jonas Helbert. I'm with Team MVE, and we are with Streetlight Realty. You are watching the Miami Valley Experience. If you enjoyed this, do me a solid. Subscribe, share, do all the clicky stuff that the algorithms want, and like, I don't know. We just want more views. That's what we're going for here. So do me a solid and do that if you watched all the way through. And if you didn't, shame on you, and you'll never even hear that because you didn't watch it.